Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for a Star Telecom unboxing of Genesys Cloud release notes for October 2022. Today we got Edgar and Randall again, two Star Telecom's solution consultants, and I'm Rob, a client development manager. We'll be talking about these October feature releases on the upcoming video. Be sure to subscribe to keep up to date on all the new Genesys Cloud release notes.
All right, thanks, Rob, for that introduction. So for today, we're going over the October release notes, and we're going to start off with October 5th. And within the contact center space, the very first one actually, I think, has it's going to merit its own video after this. Probably a use case, Randall will put one together. But skills expression groups. Can you go ahead and introduce us and tell us about that, Randall?
Sure. So this is all about streamlining how you manage your agents in the contact center. So in order for a contact center agent to be able to do their job, they have to be part of a queue, of course. In some cases, they'll need a skill, and then they need permissions and access to do something. So those are three components that you need to change in order to move an agent from perhaps one queue to another to change their job function. To give you an example, taking interactions from a sales queue to a support queue. Mm-hmm. So if we have to make three different changes, it can be cumbersome and time consuming. So how do we do this to streamline it? Well, most contact centers do make use of skills. And if you use skills that reflect the name of the job function they're going to be performing, or for example, I talked about the sales team and the support team, we can apply logic on a group, and that says what happens is that the logic on the group checks to see who has a skill and their proficiency level, and if it matches, the user will automatically get added to that group. Because we've said that group has specific roles, and the roles assign functionality and access, the user that the expression grabs will also have the correct roles. And because we've said everybody in that group belongs to a specific queue, they'll also get the correct queue. So what that means is all I need to do is go adjust a skill and a proficiency, and automatically that user will put in the right skill, queue with the right group and the right permissions. Yep. So let's kind of walk through that. Let's go over here and look at a group that we have set up. Let's see here. So in this case, we just have a very simple group called test. Just gotta find it here.
Now this will be prerequisites if an organization's set up this way, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and what I'm not sure which. Can you elaborate on that?
So I mean, if organizations were just set up at just users and roles, but there's no groups,
right?
It's going to be a whole rework possibly of how their users are set up, right? So creating these groups and then assigning the inheritance, the roles inheritance to those groups. Right. I'm just thinking with this new feature, how to take advantage of it and some of the work required. Right. So that's probably a deeper dive that we can get into that video.
Absolutely. And to be honest, in that video, we can explain why it makes sense and how modern agent user management is much easier when you define groups and roles versus just not doing that. So,
just quickly show us Cliff Notes, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Sure. Okay, so we're looking at the group section here under the directory. And so when we want to look at a group that has a skill expression applied, we have to look under skill expression. And I'm going to click here, and you'll see this is the group that we created our test on. It's just called Randall Test. And when it opens up, you see that we have an expression that says Raphael temp test equal 3. So what that's going to do is that if a user in Genesys Cloud has this skill assigned to them with a proficiency of 3, they'll automatically be added to this group. And so what that means then is, because they're added to the group, like I said, that group will have all the necessary roles assigned to it, which assigns permissions and access, and also it'll assign the user to the correct queue. So let's say that I wanted to change a bunch of users, or I wanted to assign a bunch of users to this group so that that functionality would flow through. If I go under admin, and then I go under people, I can do this for an individual. So I could find, if I just wanted to move one agent, so in this case, I'm finding myself here. So I go to this ACD skill here, and I look for Raf. Here it is,
Yep.
right there. And I believe it was 3. And I hit save, done. I can also do this with more than one person. So if I can select several people over here and do the same. So here again, edit ACD skills. What I could do here is I could simply go in and do that skill, that the Raphael temp skill, give him a proficiency of 3, and all these users that I've selected would be in the right queue, or in the right group, and therefore have the right roles and permissions, as well as be in the right queue to take interactions. This is really going to simplify and speed up moving agents back and forth.
Excellent. Thank you, Randall, for that. And everyone look forward to the deeper dive video that we'll do around that. So the next feature release here is define ring membership by queue. So this actually relates similar to what we just talked about, but if you're using bullseye routing, you can actually then assign similar to, let's say, ring 1 or ring 2, assign groups to, let's say, ring 2. And then if you are moving agents, or and then if an agent is part of that particular group, or you add people to that group, or even if we take advantage over here, skills, then that particular bullseye ring is associated to the group, and then we're just adding people to groups, not having to remove particular skills or relying stripping away skills. So again, it's another management feature when it comes to moving agents and moving workforces to meet the call center demands. Gets imposed on itself from there. So improved knowledge workbench, import and export. So those of you that may or not be familiar, there's this whole new knowledge-based workbench, let's say archive or library tool that the bots within Genesys Cloud pull their information from. This now gives you the ability to mass import or export knowledge into those. So instead of having to write individual articles, we can go ahead and import your existing database from some other tool into the Genesys workbench, and then take advantage of that, the workbench for your AI bots that you're building within Genesys Cloud. Next, this one is actually very important as well, is agent utilization calculations have been improved within Genesys Cloud. So, and it looks like a developer, when you are doing this, it will be part of the new calculation. So some reports may have to be reviewed, but generally it's increasing the accuracy of the estimated wait time for an interaction. We can dive deeper into, if we go into the developer section here of the Genesys Cloud environment, and then read a bit more in description of how are they adding or what's been done to improve the estimated wait time. Okay, and then from deeper into the under the hood of Genesys Cloud here is under the platform API Explorer refresh. So those of you that are using API or the API Explorer tool here, the UI has been updated a little bit more, just to include a bit more functionality here. So a bit more filtering on the top there, and so forth and so forth. So again, if you are explore the API tools within Genesys Cloud, there's new functionality there for you, and as well as then the knowledge networks. if you do have access to the knowledge network in here, it's been refreshed, reorganized to include more data and to make it include more articles and make it more user-friendly to work around there. Okay, and that is October 5th release notes. All right, everybody, so let's jump into now the October 12th release notes. So again, not so big this week compared to September. September was huge, but for the contact center, single customer view powered by identity resolution available in all regions. So this is actually quite interesting. So what this allows agents to do, and within Genesys actually in particular, is when an interaction comes into Genesys Cloud, the history that gets built within that interaction here. I'm just trying to find a screenshot of it. So when a call comes into the Genesys Cloud environment here, or any interaction here, Genesys is now stitching those interactions together into one particular within the contact record. And then when a call comes into it, an agent is able to see when or what the last interaction was. Was it an email? Was it chat? So it's doing a lot of back-end database work to stitch all those interactions together and give the customer give the agent one point of view to see when they came in and what kind of interaction they've had within the Genesys environment. So again, a deeper dive in there, but it is giving you the ability to see the customer journey, kind of like a high level overview of that customer journey. So inbound messages and so forth, without having to, let's say, take advantage of the predictive engagement tool. Predictive engagement would actually give us a lot more details. The new identity for customers gives us just a high level touch points of where we're within the call center. So giving you more insight, the agent more insight into the customer's journey. So Genesys has enhanced text-to-speech integration. So this gives you the ability now to install this enhanced feature, enhanced text-to-speech capabilities, and then being able to leverage more voices and more languages outside of the built-in text-to-speech tool within Genesys Cloud. So if you're unhappy or you're looking to explore new dialects, or if you have a customer base in a very specific region of the world, and you want your IVR to reflect that, then this is definitely something that you can take advantage of, and we can help implement in your IVR.
Edgar, can I add a bit on that one?
Go ahead.
What I've seen with the text-to-speech engine is that the quality has gotten to the point now where customers are actually using text-to-speech versus actually recording prompts. And that gives customers a lot more flexibility. So for example, let's say that I have a customer that wants to constantly change their prompts or wants to add in emergency prompts. There's no reason why we couldn't use text-to-speech with one of these newer languages or one of these newer voices that is a lot more clear and concise.
Yep.
And then leverage having the agent or whomever needs to go in and change the message, simply log into Genesys Cloud and update the text in the table.
Yep.
And then we can draw from that table and simply say back the text. I know when I build call flows myself, I actually use the text-to-speech to get the look and feel, and I get the customer to test that, and and then the last step is replaced with prompts. But like I'm saying, what I'm seeing now is the quality is so good, you don't even have to go there. So I encourage customers to actually listen to the text-to-speech engines, because I think they'll be pleasantly surprised with that functionality over the expense and the complexity of recording actual voice prompts.
Very true. Thank you, Randall. Okay. So moving forward here is shift trading in iOS and devices. So if you are a user of the Temple device, so your WME and workforce management mobile application for agents, you now within the app have the ability to do the shift trades. within that app. Secure bot flows in Architect. So previously, it wasn't recommended to take sensitive data within the secure within the bot flow. But now with secure bot flow here, so one of the examples is, let's say, let the bot do process payment, and then that whole bot conversation will be compliant with PCI regulations. So just further enhancements and being able to personalize that experience and make the bot kind of more secure within that environment and compliant as well. Audit log viewer for action maps. So just a new element within the audit log that can be viewed. This is for action maps. Agent locale scripter variable for agent's chosen language. So was it last month or the month before we talked about dynamic variables within the agent scripter tool? Well, now it looks like those dynamic variables will also now be observant of the language of that agent's UI. So if a prompt is set to display dynamic variables, it can also display dynamic language variables. So again, you have agents across the world. You can have a more personalized agent script tool for that particular language selection of that agent. So diversify that workflows work base for your call center environment. Okay, and sentiment. So this is more a UI change where just if I may not be able to find a screenshot here deep within the documentation, but there is now new icons for this the sentiment analysis when you go and actually look at some of the particular tools. Let me see if I can quickly interactions here, content. Let's see what we have just for last month. Do I have any? Yeah, here. Just a bit more refresh on the icons and how they look within now the transcript window. Okay. So that is for October 12th release notes. All right, so now let's talk about the October 19th releases. Very first one is analyze feedback from the knowledge workbench. So previous week we talked about importing new knowledge base. Well, now if you're familiar with the knowledge base, as knowledge gets presented from a bot to the customer, those knowledge base articles can be captured feedback. So if I go to down below here under articles, and notice that feedback in here. Well, this is a new feature in here where if this knowledge article was presented to the customer, they can provide that feedback and say, did this answer my question, yes or no? So we're capturing that data now per article. And then furthermore is there is now being able to report along that. So there's there, and then I'm just trying to remember, yeah, under the dashboard here. So under the knowledge base dashboard, make sure I remember where that was, admin knowledge. Yeah. So it's just a new view here. And what's knowledge performance here. So if you're not familiar with this particular performance view here, it's very analytical. If you start building out and you're using Genesys as now your main bot, and you're taking advantage of the knowledge base feature in here, this is feedback in here, so you can see how many positive and negative articles, which will help you within your organization refine those knowledge base articles and make that information much more usable to your customer base. So you can see a lot of analytics now is being developed within the Genesys environment. Hyperlinks as well. So now Genesys has now included workable hyperlinks within those particular articles, giving you the ability, right, to link to outside data sources. Let's say videos, for example, here, which probably is the precursor to being able to embed videos into knowledge articles, which I think would be really, really cool. Type-in indicators available for the Messenger Transport mobile SDK. So if you weren't aware, you can actually now using the SDK embed Genesys Chat in your business application. So let's say an insurance company has their own web mobile app. Well, you can embed Genesys Chat directly in that mobile app. What this text indicator is showing, just when you're typing an agent or customer, that kind of type-in feedback mechanism is presented either to the agent or to the customer. Small little enhancements there, but a very powerful tool. Language support for transcription. So Arabic language is now available for transcription. Okay, and a couple of deprecations for this week. The first one is a Genesys Cloud single sign-on certificate expiry. So let's get into here, and Randall, maybe you can shed a bit light in here. It looks like it's related to the single logout feature.
Yeah, this is all about when you want to force everybody to get logged out through SSO by pushing out a request. It used to be that because that feature was released, if you had to change the certificate, anybody that would get logged out or anybody that was logged in on that certificate would get logged out. And that's not the case. So it's basically an update to that single long. So this is about, okay, I'm in, for example, let's say I have Genesys Cloud tied in with SSO to Azure AD. I can go into Azure AD and force users to log out, and it'll push everybody right out. In applications like Genesys Cloud that are attached
that are linked to it.
Linked. Yeah.
Cool. Right, and it looks like Genesys is pushing that responsibility to the admin. So
Yes.
any admins in there, you need to go ahead and do this. Let's say if your provider allows multiple certificates, you can upload anytime, but if you provide singles, you must upload a new certificate on or after December 12th, 2022. So keep that in mind if you're using this feature. And CIDR IP address range for cloud media services expansion. So again, Randall might have to leverage you on this one, but it looks like Genesys is now purchased another range of IP addresses, and
so this is related to the global media fabric,
Okay.
and making sure that users can route to different media regions regardless of where they are. So they're expanding the IP range, and to do that, you can see it right there. The new range of IP addresses for generally available core and satellite regions is that IP address /21. So they've expanded that to include more. So we went from a /21 to a looks like a /20 there, which gives more IP addresses within that address space.
Yeah, probably for the expansion into Mars, I think.
Yeah.
For one of the new Mars regions. That's a joke. Never mind. See. Friday, end of the day, everyone. We're getting through this together. Okay, October 26th release notes. So very, very light, like I've been mentioning. Predictive routing benefit assignment for preferred agent routing. So contact center managers and administrators can now implement a predictive routing benefit assessment on queues that use preferred agent routing. So what does that mean? Previously, managers can only apply the benefit to queues using standard or bullseye routing. Cool. So now you can see if your call center has agent preferred routing enabled, well, you can run now an assessment, a predictive routing, so AI routing, basically, to some of the queues that are using that, and to see if predictive routing is going to provide a benefit to you or not. So if I jump down into admin and I go to queues in here, you can go ahead and start an evaluation. So if I notice here, this financial group is preferred agent routing, I can go and start an evaluation. And then once it finishes its processes, I could click on a report. I'm just going to use this one as the example here. I can click on the report, and then Genesys AI will tell me what is the likelihood of these metrics being improved compared to using just standard standard agent routing. So again, a tool to help potentially improve that customer experience in the call center. Destination email addresses dimensions in the conversation detailed record. The conversation detailed record now contains the destination addresses for the transfer or consult of sessions that route via blind or consult transfers. This destination address information is now available through the analytics API details. Okay, so it looks like they're just updating the API analytics detail there to now include if an agent's doing a consult or transfer, what is that destination address? So what is that pretty much that DNS that they're being transferred to? So it looks like it's available in the API, which means in a couple of months there, it's also be available in the GUID as a new column under the interactions. I'm going to assume performance view. Workforce management UI accessibility improvements. Genesys has updated the workforce management user interface to improve accessibility. Updates include highlighting objects that have focus and enabled more keyboard functionality. Okay. So those workforce management managers out there that requires some accessibility within the interface, Genesys is now reworking the workforce management section of it to take advantage of those accessibility tools that are available either through the web browser or through your Microsoft or computer application. And then finally, deprecations, API default profile change and gamification metrics. So it looks like they're removing the API to allow you to add external data into the gamification section. Reason why is Genesys launched a new way of adding third-party, so for example, sales tools or sales metrics from, let's say, Salesforce, and being able to show that directly in the gamification profile. Looks like that was previously done through the gamification APIs, which Genesys has now reworked and reworked that kind of data import, and so that API is being eliminated shortly. Okay, and that's it. So remember, everybody, Wednesdays is usually the release for these new features, and we'll be back next month. So this is Edgar, Rob, Randall. Any final notes to add?
No, thank you so much.
All good. Thanks, Edgar. Thanks, Randall.